run through our setup and explain to you why do we need those features. Because you may know what, but I want you to know why. Okay, I'll run through the setup, right, to make sure you understand. All the features we have here is not plugged from the air, is through some need of some company. So number one is the workday setup, right? We have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Why do we need to set it up, right? Why do we need to set it up? What is it used for? Why do we need this? And how is it used? Okay, that's one. So we know OT hours per day. No, rest day will be here. In the drop down, you can see rest day or work, right? So the first part, the top one here, this part here, we need this, actually not for calculation, is number one, to know whether to send alert to you or not. If I configure a reminder to say send the alert to the person and the HR 30 minutes after the start time, this will be the start time. Number two is if you want to calculate lateness, if you are late or not, the lateness report will look at this start time to calculate lateness, right? So other than this, together with the rest day, why do we need the break time? Why do we need to define a break time? We need to know clock in, clock out. Why do we need a break time? What is the break time for? Yeah. Okay, so the break time is basically like end time minus start time minus break time. Right? This will be the hours, standard hours, so-called, per day. So this one, if you work out, it will be like 8.8 for our case. So we have to pick the break time, like some of these 40, 40, 40, 40, 45, 45 to work out about 43.99 hours per week, right? So that break time is to allow you to calculate the total hours, standard hours for the day. So if your configuration is OT is based on per day basis, then that will be the basis for you to see whether your out minus in is exceeding the break time. Okay, so that is the first part. Then the next part is we have this thing called hours work and half day. All right, what is it for? Can anybody tell me? Why do we need to define this? That's why I mentioned when the staff is on leave, we need to add the working hours into the system so that the total hours, the OT calculation will be complete. So in order to add to the system, we need to know what to add. What to add. Because if I based on the, you may say, oh, I already have the daily working hours. If you are on leave on that day, I just add the day. But sometimes it could be 8844. The different day may not be a constant number. Every day is different. 12, 12, 12, 0, 1. Every day you start end time may not be always constant. This one I can put the end time to be 7. Then how? If you are on Tuesday, you're only on Tuesday, I give you more hours. If you go on leave on Monday, I give you less hours. Cannot be right, because the system is going to be very confusing. And the purpose of doing this is to make it 44. But so we need a number to add, right? And this is a number. This is number we add. So if you're on leave, one day I add 8.8 hours to you. If you're on leave, half day I add 4.4 hours to your total hours work. So when we do that, and then we apply a standard hours 8.8, someday we're going to have minus 0.01. So yeah, but what to do? Unless we do some smart rounding to the nearest 0 or whatever. But if you use this logic, what we have as of today, we are going to have that situation, because Here, if you take away maybe 8.8, 8.8, 8.8, but this one it could be 8.9, then it could be 8.7. But then when we add the 8.8, it's going to be a minus 0.01 or something like that. It will have this kind of minor error. So right now, maybe we don't have solution. Maybe we can think of some bright idea to say if it's 0.001, I'll just draw out a bit to make sure it tally. I think that one we can. Yeah, I think that is a feature waiting for Fernando to do. That is, if you join on the, let's say on the 12th of March, right? The system doesn't know you are joining on the 12th of March. When they do a monthly report, you still got the missing from 1st to 11th. Otherwise, we want to do, but we don't have time to do it. So that part, we should actually look at the join date and then ignore the clocking time for the 1st to 11th. But that part is still in the list, right? That has been still in the list. Okay, so we talked about this. So the other one is, I think as you can see that we have the drop down off and rest and not. So what is the difference when you configure it as an off or rest? Yeah, correct, different OT rate. So now you know when you do onboarding, do setup, do support, if the customers want to follow the Employment Act properly, then they must pick a rest day. They cannot just put off. Although off will still give you the same result, but the rate will be different. You will go into OT3 if you put rest day. You go into OT2 if you put off day. All right. So that is the difference between off and rest. So normally when you advise customer, you say, hey, under the law, you are supposed to give a rest day every 7 days. So people think, oh yeah, you are not stupid, huh? You can advise me, right? So at least they appreciate. But if you pay, hey, same, no difference off day, then people know you don't know what you're talking, right? And what's different between off and rest day, you must also be able to explain, because rest day you're going to pay 2 times, and anything up to half day is half a day, anything more than half a day is 1 day. But anything more than 1 day, what do you pay? How much to pay for on rest day? Don't know. I'm going to say a test. It's going to be 1.5. 1.5. Anything more than that is normal OT, right, on the rest day. Okay, so that is just the top part. So no, you always saw this, but now you have to know why, right? You don't just configure work on off or rest. You need to know why you configure different rest time, because you are trying to make it 44 hours a week, right? And what is the purpose of having this thing at the top, right? Because you want to send reminder, you want to calculate total hours per week, you want to calculate lateness, right? So now we look on the next one. This one. Work on public holiday. Why do we have these options? So I'm not telling you what to say, but you probably do training setup. Say, hey, you ask customer, oh, do you work on public holiday? No, okay, I think no. But it will be better if you know why, so that you can advise customer what they should say. Like for our case, we don't work on public holiday. So if actually there's a help with here, right? If you are like us, I mean, we don't work public holiday. So when there's a public holiday this week, say on Wednesday, if you don't come to work, there's no clock in, clock out. We will still treat it as, let me see, off day. So the total hours is, I think, no longer 44. It will be 44 minus 8.8. So that the actual hours will be compared with 44 minus 8.8, if there's one, right? But if you take the other one, that yes, you work on public holiday, then there's no public holiday. You will still work, assuming, I think some companies do this, especially the shift workers, say, 1 year got 11 public holiday, right? I give you a special leave time, I put 11 days there, so you can apply leave, but every public holiday is a working day. So you come to work as a normal day. You will get alert, you will get over, it will be whatever. So it's still a normal day to you. But you can apply leave, right? And normally we don't tell the company to set up this way. Why? Because if you give the worker 11 days at the beginning, the worker can use up all and then resign and disappear, right? So normally say, you don't do this because of this, right? So you give them adjustment after the public holiday, 1 day, after another adjustment and another adjustment. So when you are able to do this, then you are like a consultant. Otherwise, you are just like a mechanical people. Hey, what do you want? Not, okay, no public holiday. Okay, what do you want? I'll put 11 days, right? You must be able to know why and then advise the customers, okay, maybe it's not a good idea to just create lead time and put 11 days because the worker can use all and run away. Okay, so we'll cover the top 3 rows. Now the next one is time zone. Why do we need time zone? I think this one is probably more obvious. Time zone. Yeah, like right now we have people cooking from Philippines, from Myanmar, right? If you don't know they are cooking from there, assuming they are doing on the web, then the timing will be out because there's time zone difference. So we need to know from there. And the next option is allow next day clock out. So this is a bit tricky, right? A simple way is, okay, it's okay, you clock in 8:30, you work late, clock out 11 p.m. is still fine. But if you say no next day clock out, if you clock out 1 a.m., what will happen? So the challenge is when you clock out next day, we don't know whether you are actually coming to work next day or not, because it could be a situation where you clock in today, you go home at 5 p.m., you forgot to clock out. Then next day you come in early, you forgot to clock in. Then you finish work, you clock out. Then you have this day clock in, next day clock out. Do we consider your clock in and clock out and say, oh, you work 24 hours? Right? That is a challenge. How do we handle that challenge? We have to have this option to say, you don't allow next day clock out. If you clock out next day and you consider there's a missing clock out this today and a missing clock in for tomorrow. Right? So I have this option. But there is a scenario that people want to allow clock in, clock out. Like maybe restaurant walls. They work from lunchtime to 1, maybe after that, after 5 p.m. they start working. So they want to make sure they capture the kind of thing. Or sometimes they have flexi hours or for some reason. Right? So they may have to choose next day clock out. For some situation, they need to do next day clock out. So then we have to allow next day clock out. Right? But then we have to handle a situation where the next day clock out is actually for yesterday's clocking. How do we handle that? No, tomorrow's clock out is for yesterday's, to pair with yesterday's clocking. How do we pair? Because tomorrow's clock out can be tomorrow's clock out, but you forgot to clock in. Let's say you clock in at night, maybe you work late at 1 p.m. So you want to work late because you come to work. You want to clock out at maybe 5 a.m. or project proposal at 5 a.m. How do we know that your clock out is for the yesterday's clock in to pair and work out the total hours? If I allow next day clock out, all right? So there's a challenge. So we came up with another way. So all these are solutions to address all these challenges. Okay. Okay, so we will try not to confuse the people, but otherwise it's quite confusing. So now you have this challenge, right? I have a next day clock out. I have this next day clock out. So we have to come up with this rule to say, okay, you next day clock out, but anything 2 hours or X hour you can put forward. Prior to the next standard day clocking is considered yesterday's. So let's say my standard clocking is 8:30. 8:30. 2 hours before 8:30 is 6:30. So any clocking clock out activity before 6:30 is for yesterday. So anything after that, so in our case 8:30, anything before 6:30 is yesterday's clocking activity. So you will add yesterday and together. But anything after that is you come to work early. Right? You come to work at 7 o'clock, like Matthew, 7:30, right? So we use this to solve that problem. To say, hey, whether you allow next day clock out, whether it's for this or for that. right? You use it to solve that problem. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off. Then you don't see the confusion because a lot of people don't have this. So we just, okay, hide it. But you put it in, then you got to define so that the system can calculate correctly whether your clock out next day is for yesterday. It depends on your clock out time. Our policy here is single clocking clock out. Because if I do multiple clock out, what happens is you need to clock out for lunch. And when you come back, clocking for lunch. So that is a challenge because we don't have an option to say whether you have multiple clock in, clock out. We will assume you have a 45 minutes lunch. We don't have that. Once you clock in, clock out, the formula for that will be, I think there's a formula here. Here. Right? There's a formula. First clock out minus first clock in, second clock out minus first clock in, and so on. So there will be total hours work. So if you never clock out for lunch, your lunch is actually your work hours. Yeah, so let's say in our example, some of you say clock in the morning, 9 o'clock, clock out, at 6 o'clock, go for jogging, come back jogging, 7:30, you clock in again, after that you clock out, right? It may work if you do multiple, but your lunch time, where is it? You are going to be 8.8 plus 45 minutes here, you know. Yeah, that's what we are doing. If you set as a single clock in, clock out, you can do multiple clock in, clock out. But the system will take your first clock in and the last clock out as the total hours. In between is, I think you see lateness and all that under the thing. You don't see the multiple. First in, last out. Yeah, first in, last out. In the detailed report, you see first in, last out, and then calculate. You want to see now? I think that there's another report. Is the timesheet report, individual attendance report. I think this one, the purpose of this is to see whether there's anybody punching. If I look at this, I can see all the face. Oh, maybe the same person, no? But anything outstanding, you stand out. So this is to sometimes customers say, hey, how I must go and check, you know? You can say do an audit check, no? But then you can see daily like that. More audit check. Okay. I think those feedbacks we need to take back and see how we can do it. I think our challenge is how to have the feature and yet not make the system too complicated. Right now is tell you, I think it's not, I don't think you all understand what I've said before, right? Before that you understand, but to teach a customer to explain to them is another challenge. How to make it simple yet address all the needs. That's why some of this I think we just added, last time it's below, that's why I was searching for below, but I told somebody to put it up there so that it is together. It's together. And make it, if you don't need it, you don't see the complexity. But if you need it, then you can see why. Okay? So this is the first part. Any question just on the working hours? Okay, there's another thing I want to say is this is a global setup, right? But we have company to say, hey, the working hours for Azhar is different from Duncan and it's different from Mary, you know, how do I do it? And this is working in Myanmar, is working in Philippines, you know, how do I have one set up? And then this guy work on public holiday, that guy don't work on public holiday. Oh, wow. So how do we handle that? So our system is quite advanced in the sense that we have it under the time clock users. Right? If you go to time clock users, you can actually configure. Once you configure here, you will override the individual. So from here, right, you can choose the time zone. Right? You can say whether they are allowed clock in or not, and what is the OT formula based on standard time, or weekly or what. If it's weekly, you can actually configure how many hours per week. Right? Public holiday, whether you give them off and leave or you give them 1 day off and things like that. Right? So some of this, I think we don't have the standard time here, but the standard time and all that is under roster. So you will say, okay, my company, different people work on different range, right? So I can go to roster like ISS intern, they have different startup and end time, right? Some of them work once a week. Let me go for another roster. Okay, maybe people come to 8. So I have a setup that is based on this shift, right? You see, different day, different start time, end time. So we don't have to follow the global, right? We have the roster set up. Once we set up this roster with different rest time and which day is a rest day, we can then assign to the people. Then they will follow that one. And within this, we also have whether they are required to work on public holiday or not, right? And also how much to deduct for leave, half day or 1 day, right? So it's actually very powerful, right? We cater to the individual level, right? If you have a group of people who come to work, right, some of them get reminded at different time. Maybe you're assigning to a 9 o'clock group if you always come at 9. This one is you. No, this one is not individual. This one is a shift setup. Once you do the shift setup with this pattern, I can say, okay, who is on this shift, right? Okay, they come to work early, so it's on an 8-hour shift. Carrying this on 9-hour shift, you know. So they will get different thing, right? So it's the global one is if you never set up anything, I think most company only have one standard one like us. Then we don't have to follow that. Actually, like us, we have different people come late, come early, so we have different. So they get alert at different time. So we have that flexibility other than the standard setup. Right, the flexibility, you can go to the user side to set the time zones, or that you can come to roster to set different start and end time. So that is just the part one, right? Yeah. We have situation where there's no shift because worker keep changing, you know, especially some of the F&B that they just keep changing. So typically we'll advise them to say, come here, right? You can download the template, which is the Excel template. Then you come here, you can see, okay, everybody, you know, you use Excel template, put into Excel in this format and upload. So and under the Employment Act, you have to tell the workers 1 month in advance. They say for April, you must give them in March, what is your roster? So they typically do it 1 month for roster. They will probably plan around now and then upload to the system. Say, when is your off day? When is your rest day? You see, now even the leave, we can automatically populate from here. So you can plan with the mind that, okay, who is on leave. These are all very good features to sell to customers. But if there's a chain, let's say this guy call in on sick leave, cannot make it, you just touch here, then you pop out this one, okay, change to another shift. Right, you can assign okay or change to another shift. Different timing. So we allow them also to do last minute changes in terms of the shift rostering. So this is based on the roster and come here. We never upload. So roster will populate here when you assign a roster. Okay. So typically we can advise them to download this file, which is an Excel file like that. Right. You will take whatever in the system, you see, all the system, and then they can then change it here in Excel. I'm surprised it downloads so fast, right? And then you can then from there and edit for next month. So hopefully the first part you understand fully. That is very important. Now coming to the second part, which is equally important, the OT calculation method. Right? Earlier on, I've explained different. Some companies say I don't have OT, just forget. I just want to mark attendance. That's fine. You use the none. Or some people say, okay, my office hours is until 6. Anything after 6 is OT. I don't care how time they come in or come out. So then for these people, they will select this option, right? Then the third option is based on the configuration, right? Your standard hours for that day is 8 hours. Anything more than 8 is OT. The standard hour configure for that day is 8.8, then anything more than 8.8 is OT. So this is probably a more common one. Like some people, I told you before, they are on a security guard or what on shift, 12 hours a day, off, one on, work, then off 2 days and things like that. Then they may go for this option, right? Then they can put 42 hours or 44 hours. Some people maybe only 40 hours. Anything more than 40 hours, they give OT. Anything more than 40 hours, they give OT. Remember, anything more than 40 hours, they give. But Employment Act actually don't require them to give OT for 40. Although the weekly calendar is only 40, but if you work until 44, you OT until 44, actually the Employment Act said don't need to give. So we then come up with an advanced option that we hide here. If you click advanced option here, it expands. It expands. Right, this is something that we implemented probably 1-2 years ago. So what it says is, if actual hours per calendar week exceeds 40 hours, right, in this case 40 hours, I will use a certain formula. So I can say I will use OT2 1.5. Sorry, no, I will use OT1 1.0 because I don't need to give OT. So anything, let's say for anything exceed 40 hours, because my per week is only 40 hours, then 40. Anything more than 44, then I give you OT2, which is 1.5. So this is quite a typical configuration for a company who, like, okay, Monday to Friday work hours 9 to 6, work out to be 40 hours. But if people work OT and they don't want to pay 1.5 because it's not required for some people, then they can use this configuration, right? More than 40, I still pay you 1.0. I still pay you OT by 1.0 rate because I'm not required under the law to pay 1.5. But more than 44, then I pay 1.5, right? So this is the configuration. So these are all very beautiful setup that you all need to know. And when customer has that kind of challenge, you can then, hey, we have the solution, right? I'm gonna hide this one because it's complex, so we will hide so that people don't see, oh, the system is so complicated. Only when you need to see, you see it, right? So when you do that, let me see, for incomplete week, you see, when you do OT on a weekly basis, and how do you pay them? Let's say for the month of March, right? It's going to end the week, end a month, once end of month. It may not be a Sunday or Friday, so it could be 31st March, could be a Wednesday. But the OT is based on 44 hours a week. So when you end on a Wednesday, how do you calculate OT? Same thing for the beginning of next month. You maybe start with the Thursday. How do you calculate OT based on weekly basis? We can't, right? Because there's nothing. So we have to think of a way to calculate, because we cannot say, oh, what to do when you have this kind of incomplete week. So we come up with a different way, right? We have a no OT. We don't give OT for incomplete week. Or we based on end time daily basis, right? For that 3 days, last 3 days, maybe 29th, 30th, 31st is a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday. I will see on a daily basis how many hours you have worked based on end time or based on standard time. So I actually have a mixture of a weekly plus daily OT if I based on these two methods. Right, if I based on these two method, let me open on that. Right, or if I based on weekly, then the weekly will be carried forward to next month. So your last week, incomplete week, will be carried forward to next week. So in the beginning of next week, I will take the last few days and add together to see OT. So I want to pay you OT for incomplete week. I'll pay you in the next month, beginning of the week, the first week. So these are the options that they can choose. Right, because when we design software to cover all situations, weekly OT is not so nice one every week, exactly on Monday to Sunday. We have to calculate incomplete week. Choose one. You have to choose one method. It will be default. It will go to a default, probably none or weekly. Or weekly, I think weekly is a default. Yeah. I think so. There will be a default value. I think we set to weekly, which means you will be carried forward to next month to calculate. Okay, so we are here. Yes, but default is one chosen one. If you don't choose anything, system will just take the default as weekly if you don't touch it. I will not save this. So another one is, of course, in OT. Sometimes we have standard hours, but people come a bit late, go back on time, then negative OT. Whether you want to show negative OT or want to show zero, so we have this thing for them to choose in OT. Right. So then we have all the details requirements. Right. These are the things some people may not need, but over the year we have built out like OT grace period. A lot of companies say anything less than 15 minutes, I'm not paying. Right, so it will be zero. But anything more than minute 15, like 16, I'll give you 16 minutes or things like that. So people can configure grace period for OT. And then same thing. This is another interesting requirement that under employment you must say you work how many hours OT. You probably will take break, right? If your OT is 4 hours, you probably take 20 minutes break, right? So then you can configure lah. If you take 4 hours of OT, right? I will assume minus your 20 minutes break. So I will take 20 minutes out of the clock out time from there. Then you have rounding OT. So OT, if it's maybe round to nearest 5 minutes, right? Then we can round out. So we have all these very detailed features to cater for all situations. You can round out, round down, right? And then this is another interesting thing. When you're on public holiday, under the employment, there's this thing, whether you pay the person 1 day or you give off in lieu, right? If you give off in lieu, which means public holiday is a working day. So no, public holiday not times 2, only rest day. Don't confuse. Public holiday is a paid public holiday. If you are, public holiday is a paid day. So if you come to work on a public holiday, you are paid 1.0 time, no OT, one time. But if you are given off in lieu, then it's like a normal working day because your public holiday is when you're on leave, right? Okay, so then we have grace period, lateness, right? I say standard time, people want to see lateness report. I think some company will deduct pay you if you are come late. So they also have a grace period. As you say, grace period is 10 minutes. If you are late by 10 minutes, I don't count as late. If you late by more than 10 minutes, I will count, right? There's all this running period for lateness, for early. And then there's one more option that is do not deduct unpaid leave from total hours work. Because when you're on unpaid leave, by right, you didn't come to work, you're on unpaid leave, the hours shouldn't be counted, right? Correct. And when you're on annual leave, we will add the 8.8 hours to your total hours. So we are on unpaid leave, we don't add because you are on unpaid leave. But typically, if you are monthly paid, if you are on unpaid leave, the unpaid leave will go to payroll and deduct 1 day pay already. Right, we don't want to double penalize you here by deducting your hours. So that's why we have this option to say, unpaid leave, do not deduct. Means I'll treat it as a normal paid leave. I'll add 8.8 hours to your total hours work because I already deduct it from your pay. I don't want to double penalize you. So that's why we have this option for them to choose. But if they are on daily wage and all that, then they can say, I will deduct. If you are on unpaid leave, I will not pay you. If they're on monthly pay, which is already deducted from not paid leave, and then I don't want to double penalize. Next one is a standard break time when staff work OT during off day. All right. Why we have this option? You see, when you are doing off day, if you look at it, if you are off day like this case, right? Off day, we don't define break time, right? But when you come to work on work day, come at 9 o'clock, finish at 2 o'clock. What do we do? Assuming no break time, right? Some company may not want because you actually go for lunch break. If you come at 9, you go out at 6. So, but there's no definition of break time because it's off day. So we define it here, right? If you are on this is a standard wait time, so it could be. I think we never said we say you should set it to maybe something like 45 minutes, 40 minutes, right? If you come to work on off day, we have to minus 40 minutes from whatever hours you clock. All right. So this is the option to cater for that situation. Okay. So when calculating number of day works, we have a daily report, right, to calculate number of day works. The daily report, I think I can go there and show it to you. The challenge for that is a number of days work here, right? We have this thing here. So the challenge is if I just calculate your standard end time, if you are late by 5 minutes, then the system think what to do. You didn't work for the day, right? Supposed to be 8.8 hours, you are 8.5 hours. You are not work for the day. So we need to have some smart algorithm to say, okay, you are late for a while. So I give you some so-called grace periods to count as 1 day. Otherwise, if you go off slightly early or come slightly late, you become so this is the purpose of this one. I give a grace period. If you're late for 30 minutes, they will still work. But if late for more than that, then it becomes half day, right? So this is the purpose for that. So this is the center part to handle OT and lateness and all the calculations. So it's quite a lot of logics that we build out over the year based on all the customers' feedback. Not everybody needs it, but if you need it, it's all there to handle. Okay, I'm going to move on to next one. So allow staff to clock in, right? If you allow staff to to edit clocking, basically they can go to the front page there to clock in. Right, this is the part. You go to my time clock. Right now, is it allowed or not allowed? Actually, I can. This is defined at the individual level. If I go to the user level, user time clock user. So allow clocking is here. Can you see? At the user level, so right now I allow you to change, right? But some company may not allow. They say whatever iPad or clocking is the time. Allowed to change. If I allow that to change, I should be able to see this from here. I can pick a date. I can actually change previous date, which is another option. When I change the date, then I can allow clocking for that. So the option allow you to choose like allow edit clock time, allow start the clocking for a different date or previous date. Last time you can only do it for today or past, but now you can choose different date. Right? I don't know why different date and previous date was a different. I need to figure out. Right. So this is the clocking configuration. Then we have the single clock in and clock out I mentioned earlier. So you can do single clock in. You can also do multiple clocking with the different formula. Right. Last clock in, this is what we are doing, or you can do first clock, second clock in, clock minus clock out, and all that. And then you can ignore clock in before standard start time for both. That is, let's say you're supposed to start work, factory worker, 8:30, come at 7 o'clock and start clocking. Doesn't mean you get 1.5 hours OT. Company don't want to pay because you say you come early because it's not your shift yet. I knock out. So it's ignore clocking, right? You can do that. Or some say, okay, ignore clock out after standard start end time. So I don't give OT, right? You're supposed to go home at 6 o'clock, go home, right? I ignore. So we have this option for them to do it.
This is a
whole company policies. Yeah, no, it's whole company policies. Then lateness, consider only first clock in. Why we have this option? This one is, why we had this option? This is for multiple clock in. Multiple clock in, when we do the lateness, we assume you go out for lunch. Lunch is 45 minutes. You come back more than 45 minutes, it's into the lateness thing. So your clock in is late by 5 minutes. Your lunch clock in is late by another 5 minutes. Your lateness is 10 minutes. Right? But we will check this option, then I only ignore the in between. I just check your coming first clock in. Right? So this option. So these are all the options to handle from different needs. Right? Any customer with any needs, we all have it here. Right? You need to know what they are for. Right? Then we have another configuration to say, okay, if you do this is for what? Anybody can tell me why is this for? To handle what? Yeah, good. How do you deduct lunch break? Right, when people's on half day leave. Typically, we shouldn't deduct, right? You are supposed to come to work 9, 8:30, then go at 12, 1 o'clock. If I deduct, then you are short change, you are minus that 45 minutes. So I need to know whether you are on half day leave or you are working OT. You could be on half day leave, but you work OT for 5 hours, so you go for lunch and come back. So this is the place to say, I will deduct OT, break time, 45 minutes or whatever, if you work for more than 6 hours. Right. So that is this the configuration. Okay, so this covers the middle part, right? All these options. Then we have integration with eLeave, right? We are able to now have this feature. I think it's only about a few months old, right? Retrieve RO and AO from leave. Some company say, I don't want to define. This is for, this is linked to the option for project that require approval, which is this one. Yeah. Which is enable workflow. So when you have workflow, there is an approving officer, there is a processing officer that you have to define. So the definition part of the workflow is basically, I think for us, we have it under approval setup. Right. So if there is no definition, then you will take the default. If there is, then there will be a AO/RO that you have to define here. But if you check that option, then the system will pull from the eLeave and put into here.